What up, Raffleeters? Welcome back to my channel. This is Providence. We are on the East Bank Public Road at Providence. We just came from Peters Hall, taking a look at the bridge from Eccles, Baggerstown, and Peters Hall. This is what the bridge will look like when it's completed. Right, this is the billboard that describes or that shows a representation of the bridge when it's completed. And this is what the bridge looks like from Providence. So we just came from Peters Hall, and from this point you can see, first of all, you can see how close, that's the Princess Hotel, and you can see how close it is to the bridge behind all of these trees. We'll see eventually what they do with those trees, but here it is. Here is the new Demerara River Bridge. Now they have completed 5 spans, 5.5 of these spans beyond this overpass section, and they've been doing it at 1 span a week. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they're working on the 6th span. This is traffic coming towards me, is heading to the south towards Temeri and Chedijigan Airport. Traffic heading away from us is going to Georgetown and to the West Bank to cross over the Demerara Harbor Bridge. But I just wanted to show you what the bridge looks like from Providence. In other words, as you approach it from the north, as you look at it looking north, what you see is a massive structure that dwarfs even this massive Princess Hotel. This used to be the largest structure in this neighborhood, Princess Hotel. People have been asking me about the landscaping outside the Princess Hotel. I hope somebody's listening and will take some interest in beautifying the land outside this parapet, this sidewalk area, the shoulder of the road outside of the Princess Hotel. This, in fact, probably should be the responsibility of Princess Hotel and Ramada Hotel and Princess Casino. But this is what the bridge looks like from this vantage point. It's huge. It's massive. It actually reminds me, when I was like 10 years old, they completed the Kanji Bridge. And I remember having to drive over the Kanji Bridge every year every day in those Tata buses to get to school in New Amsterdam. And it was a massive structure as you approach it. Right, it was awe-inspiring as a 10-year-old, that is, driving up to the Kanji Bridge. But this is at least 20 times bigger than the Kanji River Bridge. And standing outside or standing on the road looking back at it, it's really massive, awe-inspiring. Morning. Now this is the high span section. Those are the towers. They've already started to add the cables. Remember, it's a cable-stayed bridge. They've already started to apply those cables to the bridge, to the high span section of the bridge. And as you can see, there's only a small gap of about, 1, 2, 3, 4. There are about 4 spans left to close the gap between the high span section and the ramp, this very long ramp to the Demerara Bridge. It's at least a half a mile long. And I actually looked at the ramp in other videos, previous videos. You probably find them in the archives from a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago. From the last few months that I've been covering the construction here in Providence. But this is what the bridge looks like from Providence. As you can see, this machine is being used to close the gaps, to add the beams that close the span, that bridge the gap between those spans. I had assumed that these gaps between the spans are all identical because that would be the most cost-effective way to build the bridge. But it seems to me now that those spans are getting closer together as you get nearer to the high span section. Might be some engineering math that is responsible for that. Probably over-engineering to make sure that it doesn't fail, because that would be a very high drop. There'll be a very far fall for the vehicles and the trucks and the buses and cars. That would probably come down off of that bridge if it falls, if it collapses. But this is what's happening here in Providence. All right, this is the Providence view of the Demerara River Bridge. And from this vantage point, you can see all the gaps that have to be closed. Now, we'll eventually get a chance to put a drone up and take a look at it from above, and probably even go over to the west coast, west bank, and take a look at what the bridge, or how much of the bridge has been constructed. But of course, they've been working on both ends of the bridge. This is Red Road, the entrance to Red Road, and this is the junction with East Bank Public Road. Of course, the reason why we're coming way over here is so that we can take a look at the bridge from far enough away you can see there, you can see the high span section. Leading up. So we're back at Amazonia Mall, the parking lot of Amazonia Mall. I thought this would be a good vantage point from which to take a look at the Demerara River Bridge. That is the bridge from the parking lot, the view of the bridge from the parking lot at Amazonia Mall. As you can see, the high span section there. You can see the cables clearly from this point. You can see both pairs or sets of towers supporting the high span, and you can see the gap between where the bridge is now and where it needs to be. Take a guess. Tell me what you think. Well, how long you think it will take to close that gap. My guess is that it will take at least another 2 weeks. But there are 4 or 5 spans to close between the pillars, and they've been closing those gaps at 1 per week. So I think on the outside it should be about 4 weeks, but on the inside it could probably be done in 2 weeks. So I'll be back in 2 weeks to take a look at that again. But this is what the bridge looks like on a Thursday morning in May, Thursday the 15th of May 2025 from the parking lot of the Amazonia Mall here in Providence. There in the distance you can see that is those are the pavilions of the stadium, the cricket stadium here at Providence. And that stadium, or that cricket ground, has been used for everything from concerts to Hagwa celebrations and every large gathering here in the Georgetown area. But this is the last view, at least in this video, of what it looks like, what the bridge looks like from Providence. Of course, there's a large section that you're not seeing that already has been completed over the Demerara River Bridge, over the Demerara River. And we're going to see some of those in future videos, but you can see the bridge actually continues beyond the East Bank Public Road, and it continues for behind these buildings for about half of a mile. That's a ramp, right? The ramp continues for about half of a mile away from the bridge. Still hasn't reached the ground, but that is what it looks like behind these buildings. It's massive when you see it in person, especially if you have to drive approach it from on the public road from the west, from north, or from the south. But this is what it looks like. In the comments below, tell me what you think about progress with the new Demerara River Bridge. Tell me what you think, when you think it's going to be completed. That is your guess, your estimate. And what you think it will cost, because so far, government has borrowed $260 million to build this bridge, but that does not include all the money that has to be spent on the access roads and all the traffic, markings and so on leading up to the bridge. Nor does it include the costs to acquire property by eminent domain for all the houses and buildings that were located under the bridge, that is in the area over which the bridge now passes. But this is what is happening here. Share this video with friends and family around the world. Let people know what's happening in the fastest growing country in the world, Guyana. Later.